morning with these suspects in the drive-by shooting?
Yes. Tyrone Williams and Ariel Curry have been arrested for the murder of the 9-year-old girl. They were in court this morning for a bond hearing. They're being held at this time without bond. We notified the court that we will be filing to have them held until trial under Aniah's law.
Okay, so did they actually physically appear in court, or was this a video appearance? Do you know?
I assume they were in court. Were they in court?
Okay.
Yeah.
And the judge denied bond.
Right.
Based on the Aniah's law application?
That's correct. At this time, they're being held without bond pending that Aniah's hearing, which I expect will happen next week.
Okay. And do you know how many cases we're up to that you guys have filed for an Aniah's law hearing? Is this do you know what number it is?
We're around 10, maybe a little under that, but 7 to 9, somewhere in that area.
Okay.
And at this point, do you know if either of these defendants was the actual shooter?
We believe that one was a shooter. We believe that Ms. Curry was the driver of the vehicle. This is still under investigation, as all of these cases are. So as more facts come to light, that will come out in court.
And do you expect further arrests?
I expect this to be an ongoing investigation, and I expect that law enforcement will identify everyone responsible for this, and we will prosecute them.
And could you speak to the motive? Why were they wanting to shoot up this house that this little girl was in?
It appears at this time that there was some kind of personal dispute going on between people that led to this horrific shooting that kind of boiled over into the shooting at this house where the girl was asleep on the couch.
Mm-hmm. And do you know, does this have any connection? Because there was a drive-by shooting not far away from this location on Stuarty Court, like a week or so prior. Are those two drive-by shootings connected?
As I said, this is an active, ongoing investigation. Those facts are being determined. It's not outside the realm of possibility that those are connected, but we will get to the bottom of that.
And this was an ongoing dispute, I guess, between this girl's brother and these other people?
I don't know the exact details of the dispute. It was, I'm told, over a relationship that had gone awry, and it kind of boiled over into this shooting scenario, which is, it's an absolute worst case scenario that we see when a completely innocent child is killed like this.
A relationship, romantic relationship?
I don't know the details of the status of the relationship. I just know it was a dispute over a relationship.
And what are the relationship between the two suspects arrested? Are they related? Are they what's their?
I don't know if they're family related, but they are associates of one another at a minimum. We believe that they were in this vehicle together that was involved in the shooting, so they are some kind of associates.
And the vehicle that the sheriff's office stopped yesterday, is that the vehicle that was used in the drive-by shooting?
At this time, we believe it is. Again, it's an ongoing investigation, but that's our belief at this time.
And one of the suspects was in that car, or they both were?
We believe that the female suspect was the driver, and that the male suspect was a shooter.
But when the sheriff's office pulled it over, were one or both of them in it?
I'm not clear on that right now.
Okay.
Yeah.
There are now sentencing enhancements for gang activity in the state,
Yes.
and Chief Prine has said that this is they believe a gang-related drive-by shooting. So will your office be pursuing these sentencing enhancements if it gets to that point?
We will pursue those sentencing enhancements in any case where we can. We do believe that there's a gang component to this shooting. For the sentencing enhancement to apply, the crime would have to be in furtherance of gang activity. I think that part is unclear right now, but it's, of course, still under investigation. We would apply any enhancements that we possibly could.
But your office will be pursuing that. Feasibly, it could be one of the first in the state prosecuted under these new sentencing guidelines.
Right. This new law took effect in September, so these cases just haven't worked their way through the system yet. But when they do, we will seek these sentencing enhancements where crimes are committed in furtherance of gang activity. And
do you know off the top of your head what kind of enhancements? This really elevates how much prison time
it does.
People could be serving. Do you know? I know it's written in the law. I can look it up, but do you know just off?
Yeah, just off the top of my head, I think for murder, which is a 10 to life. With a gun enhancement, it's 20 to life, and I believe this gang activity enhancement takes it to 25 years minimum. So that immediately gets the sentence into a different category from anything 20 and below under, at the Department of Corrections. They're classified differently. The parole is handled differently. So it is even though it's 5 years, it's a very, very significant enhancement.
In terms of the Anais law, can you speak to their backgrounds that would be part of that? I mean, do they have criminal records? Other information you tend to present to say that, this is elevated above, the typical defendant?
I'm not aware of any prior criminal history at this time. However, just the circumstances of this, I feel created such a danger to the community that, there is no lesser restriction that would keep the community safe other than having them locked up until trial. Like I said before, this is one of those worst case scenarios that we have to prosecute. It's outrageous that this happened. And so for the good of the community, we're going to ask the judges to lock them up until trial. And
would you expect a ruling from the bench at the hearing, or do they take a little bit of time?
It's different in different cases. Sometimes there's a ruling, there's a pretty involved order with some fact finding that has to be done. And so oftentimes a judge will take it under submission for a period of days while they're going through all of the evidence, but that differs case to case.
Okay. And I know this has come up before on these kinds of things involving a felony murder scenario. But can you talk about whether this is something that would be a capital murder eligible crime? I mean, I think it would, just based on the shooting from a car would, but do you have to prove the specific intent to the specific victim, or just that they were trying to kill someone?
This could potentially be a capital murder scenario if and when it goes to grand jury. The difference between capital murder and intentional murder, and felony murder for that matter, is that we have to prove a specific intent to kill. So with murder, it's an intentional act that causes a death. With capital murder, it's a specific intent to kill a person. We can, get into a potential scenario of what we call transferred intent, where the defendant, may intend to kill one person and then kill someone else. Capital murder would still apply if there is evidence of that specific intent to kill. So it is a higher standard of intent. It's one that we feel like needs to be thoroughly investigated, which is why we chose to approve charges at this time for felony murder and then file for a NIA.
And felony murder does not require the specific intent, correct? It's just you're committing another felony and a foreseeable death arises.
Right. You intentionally commit an inherently dangerous felony, and during the commission of that felony, a death is caused, and that's basically felony murder in a nutshell.
And so, if you were to go capital, though, you would then have to have that higher burden of demonstrating the specific intent to kill.
That's correct, and that's why this is an ongoing investigation, just like these cases always are. Many times up until trial, they're ongoing investigations, but we will uncover new facts and new evidence that may trend in that direction.
Yeah, was the gunman recovered, and was it stolen? Do we know much about the weapon?
I'm not aware at this time.
And then I guess you're just sort of relying on the police to develop additional suspects if there are.
That's correct. They are still working this case. Our Mobile Police Department homicide unit is one of the best. They will work night and day to make sure that anyone that needs to be held accountable will be held accountable.
How cooperative have the victims been in this? Because I know a lot of times that's a difficulty of, people want to seek their own street justice and they don't want to cooperate when there's a killing. Have you got a lot of cooperation?
It's kind of early in the process for our, contact with them. I do know that their hearts are breaking, just like, our hearts are breaking too. Can't imagine the loss that they've suffered. And so, we stand here to help them and help our entire community in this case.
And I just, it's unrelated. I don't know if you're prepared to speak to it, but we just got the press release on the arrest in the cold case murder of the second defendant. Can you talk about that a little bit?
Yeah, Billy Joe Turner was indicted by a grand jury. That warrant has now been served. He's been arrested for the 2014 murder of Charles Jackson. That's another case that continues to be under investigation. The Mobile County Sheriff's Office, along with our investigative unit here at the DA's office, has been working tirelessly on that case, and we expect that to now move forward.
And can you talk about the role of this latest defendant and the woman that was previously arrested?
Yeah, a little bit. That allegation about the woman that was previously arrested, was that she was driving a car that struck the victim. I believe the allegation that's going to be in this indictment for Billy Joe Turner is that he struck the victim multiple times with an object causing his death. But
before or after the car struck him?
That's kind of unclear at this time, but well, it's not unclear. I just don't want to talk about it because it hasn't come out in open court
but
yet.
part of the same kind of incident.
It was all kind of one incident, and it happened in a couple of different locations. We believe the victim was transported in the back of a truck at some point, but it was all one continuous string of circumstances.
And what was the motive in that?
It's hard. Well, I don't want to speculate as to what the motive might be. We do know that there was a lot of drug activity surrounding the situation, but to nail down an exact motive, I wouldn't be able to do that right now. All right.
Appreciate it.
Yep.
Thank you.
All right. Thanks. No problem.
Anything else that we didn't know to drive by?
That was it.
Do you know have they been appointed attorneys?
No. They
Yeah.
didn't have counsel.
I just didn't. That would be, typically you do
Yeah, so they've got to get appointed attorneys. You can't have a hearing with an attorney that's just appointed.
Well,
and then that would be done simultaneously with the prelim? That's typically been the practice, rather than holding a separate prelim?
It could be. That's going to be up to the particular judge.
so will they be in court, another appearance on Monday for the arraignment? They'll be brought over?
Yeah.
Okay.
They will.
Brought over in person or video?
I believe they're doing it in person.
They can do it in person?
Yeah. Again, that's up to court. But
Will be Zogby's court?
that's been our experience. Is that where it was this morning?
It's Spillroom.
Oh,
It's Spillroom. And they want to monitor this one.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. Gotcha.
by the time we got to the budget.
Okay. Well, if I'm
Well,
on that,
No,